And next, we're set for a fascinating overview of next-generation skin health. It's my pleasure to welcome Alexander Zink, a consultant physician at the Department of Dermatology and Allergy at the Technical University of Munich. Please.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me. It's such a great pleasure to be here, and I wish I could be there with you, but unfortunately I had to stay in Germany. And my idea is to give you an overview of what's happening in dermatology and what's happening beyond dermatology for medicine. I have a couple of conflict of interests, but I would like to start with this image because I believe that technology always only a tool for medicine. And depending on the technology we have, we can solve problems and find solutions a completely different way based on the technology. And just have a look at this image, 1916 and 2016. What the people are doing, it's the same. They're looking for information in the newspaper or online, and that's what the difference is. It's not a newspaper anymore, it's a digital tool, it's our smartphone to access the world. And an interesting thing is the smartphone, we can not only look up the latest news, we of course can use it for medicine. And probably you're aware of that there are a lot of apps and AIs on the market which are able to diagnose 80%, probably 80% of skin diseases based on the image sent to the AI. Of course, that's a very valuable tool, and it's able to disrupt dermatology in terms of diagnosing a disease, but that's only half of the story because, of course, after diagnosing a disease, we want to treat it. But what we're also interested in is how can we use these digital tools to assess or analyze the patient journey from the first symptoms all the way until the diagnosis is made and then until the correct treatment is found. And usually, university medicine focuses on the last point, how do you diagnose a disease, and then how do you treat it, how to find the best treatment. But we were interested in what's the way here in between, because the patient journey, it's often months or even years until the diagnosis and treatment is made, and it's highly, highly individual. And turning it the other way around, you can use what people are looking up online and what people are interested online to use it for medical purposes and to assess the prevalence of diseases. And here's a use case, it's hay fever. And it's a figure showing Sweden and Germany and the national interest of Sweden and Germany for the term hay fever in different provinces in Sweden compared with different states in Germany. And as you can see, there's a huge difference between April and May. And why? Because birch pollen allergy, that's the most common allergy in Sweden and Germany, and depending on when is the birch in bloom, you do not have to know it, but just assessing the internet interest of hay fever, you can tell when are people affected by hay fever in Sweden in April and in Germany in May. And of course, you can use it then for training your AI. And I really enjoyed the lecture on rare diseases. And what was a big problem? We do not know how common are rare diseases. So one of our use cases in Sweden was to track the national interest on the internet for sarcoidosis, which is a very rare disease, and compare it with the national patient registry. And in every Swedish province, and as you can see, broken down to 100,000 inhabitants, it perfectly fits, and we can use the web search interest or the internet interest to estimate the prevalence of sarcoidosis in different areas. The only exemption is here, the island of Gotland, which is a beautiful island. Not many people live, but a lot of people go there for holidays. So then, of course, breaking it down to 100,000 inhabitants does not work anymore. And I'm a big fan of technology in medicine. And as I said, technology always is just a tool, and medicine depends on the evolution of medical tools to use. And the stethoscope, invented in 1860, this stethoscope is where I went to medical school with. And now we're starting to replace it by these tools, of course, combining it with AI. But eventually, I believe we will have these smart sensors. There are already a couple of them on the market, and then you can track yourself every single day under real life circumstances to see how is your heart doing. And the combination of measuring us from head to toes led the economists to say the quantified self, how can data help us to live longer? And of course, that's something what we're also very, very interested in dermatology, because dermatology, the skin, can be the window to any organ we can think of. So I have a couple of publications for you, which I think are just groundbreaking. The first one, it's 2 years old. It's a wearable electrochemical biosensor for monitoring metabolites and nutrients. And this biosensor is able to real-time monitor amino acids. So just think about it, amino acids, if you're able to track amino acids every second, you can track any biomarker you're interested in, as long as you know what the composition of this biomarker is. The next thing is also that here, a wearable Aptamer nanobiosensor for non-invasive female hormone monitoring. And as you can see, it can be a beautiful ring designed by Dolce & Gabbana or Gucci, whatever you name it. And then you have here a short sequence of artificial DNA with the specific target molecule being, in this case, estradiol. We have a very powerful tool to track non-invasively female hormones and use it, for example, for gender medicine questions for chronic inflammatory skin diseases. We're interested in Munich. One big question is how expensive is it, and how can we produce this mass of wearables measuring us from head to toes? Well, the solution is 3D printers. This publication showed us that it's able, that the newest 3D printers can combine multidimensional inorganic, polymeric, and different things. So one of these wearables can be just printed out, and of course, then it's cheap for everyone to use it. In Munich, we're interested, as I said, in chronic inflammatory skin diseases, especially atopic dermatitis, which affects up to 20 to 30% of all children in Germany. And this is our sensor. You can see the original size is a 50-cent coin. And what does it do? The heart piece of the sensor is it measures cortisol in sweat. It's an organic electrochemical transistor. And by measuring the differences, we're trying to identify the individual pattern of healthy skin, and then, of course, the individual pattern of atopic dermatitis affected skin, and the individual delta, what's in between, to use it as a prediction model for individual flare-ups of atopic dermatitis or atopic eczema, which is the same disease. We're also interested in non-invasively monitoring the transepidermal water loss. Probably we have to work on the design of our two prototypes, but what they do, again, they focus on to individually predict the risk of atopic dermatitis, to individually predict flare-ups of eczema. And as I said, we're very interested in gender medicine, so we also have a tool for non-invasively measuring sexual hormones in the sweat, to use it as a trigger factor to analyze the role of hormones in different chronic inflammatory skin diseases. But of course, when we're able to measure us from head to toes, we're not stopping. We're stopping not at the body. So we're of course also making our environment smart home. For example, a smart mattress, which is able to assess how good your sleep is, but in terms of atopic dermatitis, how often you wake up due to scratching an itch, smart refrigerator maybe. And then I believe in the power of the smart bathroom, because I personally believe that the smart bathroom will be the center of medicine in 5 to 10 to 20 years. And why? Because all of us have to use it, obviously, and then we have a lot of tools which can be used to assess diseases just by going to the bathroom. The first thing is the smart mirror. Of course, the smart mirror can give us all different information, just as our smartphone can do today, but it can also diagnose diseases with the face recognition. Maybe it can even predict eczema and psoriasis and acne in a couple of years. But, and that's why I think it's so powerful, mood detection. Using the same mirror every single day, the mirror is able to diagnose depression, anxiety, and all of these mental health disorders. We're having, or we're experiencing, at least in Germany, a very high unmet need. And then at some point, I think having these smart mirrors, we would want to talk to the mirror, just like our ancestors told the story in the children's book. So we worked on a chatbot. It was before ChatGPT came up, to assess the history in people with severe anaphylaxis after being stung by a bee or a wasp. It was a pilot study, and we compared the chatbot history taking with the conventional, with the resident taking the history. And as you can see, no matter if the patient was 18 or 75, they all were very happy. The time was quicker, but the most powerful finding was that the history taking was 100% complete in the chatbot, because obviously that's how we train it, compared to not always being complete in the conventional setting with a resident or experienced doctor. So in summary, of course, we can use these chatbots to automate and standardize anamnesis in different diseases. And then what I also have in the smart bathroom is a shower doing a skin cancer screening every single day. So those whole body 3D capture systems, this is an amazing 3D capture system by Canfield. And as you can see, you're generating your own 3D avatar, and then you can focus on every single mole. Of course, you have an AI which detects every single mole or every single skin finding, and then you can get a preliminary assessment about the risk. Is there a risk for malignancy? Is it benign? As a second opinion. But these tools will get smaller, 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 and eventually they will fit into a shower. And then it's going to be a social discussion if we want to have cameras in the middle of our shower, but that's what technology will be able to do for us. And then you don't have to do a skin cancer screening every 2 years as we do it in Germany and try to find the lesion you looked at 2 years ago, but you can compare every single encounter with itself and compare how did the mole evolve, how is the treatment for psoriasis, is there a finding for any other disease you can see on the skin, and beyond dermatology, those are many, many diseases you can see on the skin beyond dermatology. And then, of course, AI is, the story is told, I think, an AI can always assess a skin finding on an image. So we did it with psoriasis, atopic eczema, onychomycosis, lupus, and even bullous pemphigoid. And all of these different AIs on the market, you can just Google them and download them and use them. We're able to assess these skin diseases with an accuracy of 80 to 90%. And the interesting finding is that, or what's the interesting point? Of course, it's nice to have AI telling us what the image is, but I think the bigger chances of AI, especially for dermatology, are, for example, to assess this affected body surface area by just using a picture, or to add it beyond the human capabilities. Because here, for example, we showed the AI not the skin finding images, just only the pattern of the distribution of the skin disease. And by just analyzing the pattern without seeing if the skin was red or white or scar, whatever, the AI was able to diagnose many, many diseases. So with AI, we have an additional level, and especially in 3D imaging, of course, that's a very powerful tool to optimize skin healthcare within the next few years. As I already said, we're working on segmentation to assess, for example, the affected body surface area or treatment responses in vitiligo, as well as other chronic inflammatory skin diseases. And eventually, I think that all of these digital tools, what will they do? They will shift medicine to a complete new level. And what do we do today? Today, in a very good study, we match patients. So I matched two patients for you. Both patients are male, both are born in 1948, both are raised in the UK, married twice, both live in a castle, and both of them are very wealthy and famous. So probably all agree for a clinical setting, those are perfectly matched patients, right? The only problem is the one is King Charles, the other one is Ozzy Osbourne. And as we all know, they have a completely different lifestyle. We're not looking at in terms of medical risks or in terms of risks for different diseases. So I believe we should shift medicine beyond the personas, beyond the demographics, but what are their problems, their health problems, what are their daily lives and the challenges these people face. So in summary, I believe that merging AI, crowdsourcing, internet data mining, wearables, smart homes can be used for monitoring individual skin diseases and beyond skin diseases, even health. And I believe it's gonna turn medicine from away what we're doing today from a pattern recognition, comparing one individual with the general population to then identify the disease he or she has and the best treatment, towards to identify the pattern of health in this individual and then identify the pattern of disease to shift it towards maintaining health. Thank you so much for having me. I'd be happy to connect on LinkedIn and I'm happy to take any questions if we have the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.